You're on board the news track. N. Chandrasekaran of the Tata Group today met Prime Minister Narendra Modi as the formalities for the handing over of Air India to the Tata Groups was completed. It was a big day because disinvestment in India has largely been held up, real disinvestment since the 2004 ouster of the Vajpayee Sarkar. Finally, Air India flying back home to the Tatas.
The Maharaja is returning home to the Bombay House. After 69 long years of being nationalized and grounded into a pale shadow of its glorious past by a mix of politicians and bureaucrats, Air India is now back with the Tatas.
Well, the formalities have been completed. The Air India disinvestment transaction is closed. The shares have been transferred to the Thales, which is a successful bidder. Consideration amount has been received. And so now the new owners are the Thales.
We are totally delighted that this process is complete. Very happy to have Air India back in the Tata Group.
After years of flying with heavy losses, a bloated workforce and continuous interference by government servants and politicians who preyed on its first-class seats, Narendra Modi government has succeeded in doing what was considered impossible. Even Arun Shourie, the die-hard prophet of privatization who undertook the largest privatization drive in India's history under Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, may not have dreamt of how the return the controls to Bombay House would happen. Modi's determination to get the government out of the business of flying civil aviation is what is behind the sale. Also behind the sale is the 84-year-old patriarch of the group, Ratan Tata, and his determination to reclaim JRD Tata's legacy. This is what drove India's largest conglomerate, the $310 billion Tata Group, to take control of an airline that was largely flying on the fumes of taxpayer-funded indulgence. Tata Group Chairman Emeritus Ratan Tata had shared an emotional message on social media immediately after the group had won the bid to take back the reins of Air India. Sharing an old photograph of JRD Tata stepping down from an Air India aircraft, Ratan Tata had written, "Welcome back, Air India," adding that former chairman JRD Tata would have been overjoyed if he were here today. So even as the formalities of the takeover are underway, a new board will be constituted soon, replacing the outgoing government-appointed one. The Tatas are likely to appoint a veteran aviation industry expert as the CEO. The merger of Air India Express and AirAsia India is also set to commence next week. The Tatas, who are partners with Singapore Airlines in Vistara, have made a fresh multi-year blueprint to restore the lost glory of the Maharaja. Big ticket changes like fleet and cabin upgrade will take time, but the initial focus would be on improving an on-time performance, better meals, and a more customer-friendly approach. Bureau Report, India Today.
It was in 1932 that JRD Tata set up Air India, and it was nationalized in 1953. So it's actually been 68 years that Air India was with the government. They made a complete hash of the airlines. I am convinced that Air India has the kind of potential to be a world-dominating airline as it did before it was nationalized. Now the question is, can the Tata Group move the levers to make it happen, and if so, how soon?
An air of nostalgia in India, Air India. In 1932, Air India, then known as Tata Air Services, took its first flight. This iconic first flight was piloted by none other than Jahangir Ratanji Dadabhai Tata himself. An aviator and businessman, he founded the airline with 2 lakh rupees. Sir Dorabji Tata, the then chairman of Tata Sons, gave this money to JRD rather reluctantly. But JRD did not disappoint. He held his passion venture close to his heart and transformed it into a full-fledged business, growing it from a night airmail service to a leading commercial carrier. Eventually, it got known as Air India and Air India International. 1946, the aviation division of Tata Sons was listed as Air India. 1948, Air India International took off with flights to Europe. The international service was amongst the first public-private partnerships in India. The government held 49% stake, the Tatas 25%, and the public owned the rest. In 1953, Air India was nationalized. It was only in 2001 that the NDA government first attempted to divest the airline, rather unsuccessfully. The privatization plans were shelved in the year 2004 as the UPA-1 government took over. It was only in 2017 Air India privatization plans received an approval from the centre after mounting debt of over 50,000 crore rupees for the national carrier. In the year 2018, despite an expression of interest of 76% stake sale in Air India, no bids were received for the financially ailing airline. It was only in 2020, the year of the COVID pandemic, that the government listed Air India again for divestment, offering 100% stake sale this time around. Tata Group was amongst the multiple entries that put an initial expression of interest, or EOI, to buy the Maharaja. And in 2021, Tata Sons won the final bid for acquiring Air India, a landmark moment in Indian economic history and the start of the end of nationalization of the airline. The crown jewel of aviation has returned home to the Tatas full circle. In New Delhi, Chaiti Narula, India Today.